You know, in California, they say water is more valuable than gold, and this is the incredible story of how two billionaires, through secret deals and a ton of political influence, managed to get control of a huge chunk of it. Okay, so to really wrap your head around this, just two people control more water than the entire city of Los Angeles. I mean, think about that. That's more water than 3.8 million people use for everything. Every shower, every drink, every toilet flush. Yeah, and this slide really just lays it out, doesn't it? On one side, you've got this massive city, a huge metropolis. And on the other, you have the billionaire couple at the center of this whole thing, Stuart and Linda Resnick. So you gotta ask, right? In a state that's basically famous for its droughts, how is this even possible? How can a public resource like water get so concentrated in the hands of just a couple of people? Okay, so to get how this happened, we first have to talk about who made it happen. The Resnicks. They weren't born into this. Their journey from some pretty humble beginnings to becoming these agricultural titans, well, it's quite a story. So Stuart Resnick actually started out with a janitorial business, just to get himself through law school. From there, he and his wife Linda turned out to be absolute naturals at buying and flipping businesses. But the real game changer for them was in the 80s. They bought up some cheap land in California's Kern County and saw this huge opening in the pistachio market right after an embargo hit Iran. And here's the crazy part. You have almost definitely bought something from them. Whether it's Palm Wonderful, Fiji Water, or Wonderful Pistachios, their empire, which is called the Wonderful Company, is packed with brands you see every day. And every single one of them is built on one thing: water. And that massive need for water, well, that's what brings us to the absolute core of this story, a really pivotal and super secretive deal that would completely change the game for California's water. Picture this. It's 1994, a hotel in Monterey Bay. Far away from any reporters or public oversight, a group of state water officials, contractors, and these huge landowners, including Stuart Resnick, they all gathered to cut a deal. And the prize they were all gunning for? The Kern Water Bank. Now, this wasn't just some puddle. This was a massive underground reservoir built with $74 million of taxpayer money. It was literally designed to be a public savings account for water. You know, a safety net for everybody during those droughts California's famous for. So how on earth did they pull this off? Well, the move they made was just incredibly bold. The group claimed that the state wasn't holding up its end of the bargain on water deliveries, so they made an offer. They'd give up their junior water rights, which, let's be honest, were basically just IOUs on paper, not real water. And in exchange, they wanted control over the very real, very full, taxpayer-funded Kern Water Bank. And what's wild is, the state said yes. And just like that, after this one secret meeting, Stuart Resnick walked away with a 58% controlling stake in this giant public resource. Now, this Monterey agreement, it wasn't just some quiet deal. It sent absolute shockwaves through the state. It created this whole new kind of shady market for how water gets bought, sold, and controlled. Okay, check this out, because to really get the economics here, you need to see this comparison. Agriculture, the industry the Resnicks are now at the top of, uses about 80% of California's developed water. But it only makes up about 2% of the state's entire economy. I mean, that gap is just, it's staggering. And the bottom line was simple, but it was massive. The people of California now found themselves having to pay a private company for water that used to belong to them. In the years that followed, the state actually ended up paying top dollar to buy back the very same water it had just given away. So, once they had the water bank locked down, the Resnick's empire just exploded. They doubled the amount of land they owned, they sold water for huge profits, they became massive political donors to California governors, and they even funded university studies that helped shape how people thought about water management. You know, for decades, this whole thing kind of flew under the radar for most people. But then, during the really awful California wildfires a while back, this deal and the Resnick's power over water suddenly got thrown right into the national spotlight. And wow, the debate got heated. So on one side, you had critics saying the Resnicks were basically hoarding a critical resource, making the whole state weaker against drought and fire. But on the other side, the Resnicks and state officials pushed back hard, calling it a viral conspiracy. They argued that LA's water tanks were full. The problem wasn't supply, it was the city's old system for getting the water where it needed to go. When you strip it all away,
This entire story really comes down to one massive, fundamental question about how we handle the things we all need to survive.
And what's maybe the most shocking part of all? Decades later, almost nothing has changed. That secret deal from 1994 never been overturned. The influence of all those political donations never really investigated. And the basic laws around water in the state still pretty much the same. And so we're left with this huge question. The fight over the Kern Water Bank, it's not just about California. It really makes you wonder, should something as essential to life as water ever be controlled, bought, and sold just like a car or a stock?